Hello, this is Rory with TheLoveChat, and today's topic is self-respect. Now, this is video number 24. If you have a question you'd like for me to consider featuring on the channel, please write it in a comment below. And if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe and hit like so that the channel can grow and reach more people who have a broken heart. Now, today's topic is one that I hold in a very high regard. I think it's probably one of the more important videos that you're going to listen to, which is self-respect and knowing when to walk away. You know, in relationships, it can be so hard to have a sense of self-respect and self-dignity when we're trying to hold on so hard to somebody who's trying their best to get away from us. And in relationships, we need to remember that there's two great fears, one of which is a fear of being smothered, and the other is a fear of being abandoned. And these fears clash all the time. So during a breakup, pretty much what will happen is that the person who is breaking up with us will most likely be feeling smothered and trapped and like they are not free to come and go as they please. And when this happens, it's going to trigger a response for basically they want to get out of the situation. And at that same time, we sense them starting to pull away and feel a little bit of the freedom. So what happens? We become really anxious that they're going to leave us. We become afraid of being abandoned. And so during that time, we're going to be a lot more likely to put up with a lot more crap and a lot more disrespect and a lot more of what we really don't deserve. It's hard in that moment to have self-respect and self-dignity and to remember that it's okay to have boundaries and lines that can be crossed by other people, because that is the very thing that shows them that we're not willing to be walked all over. But in that moment, we're afraid of losing the object of our love, which is basically this other person. And we're basically walking on eggshells and allowing them to kind of get away with a lot. You know, we give them an inch and they take a mile, and we're willing to accept that because, well, what happens if we lose them? We'll be alone then. When really in these situations, it's better to be alone and respected and have your self-dignity back than it is to stay with somebody who you're constantly afraid of leaving you. I mean, that's just a horrible place to operate from, and you're almost never going to make a move that is not informed by anxiety. And so today I have an email that I want to read you guys. It just shows that we're willing to put up with a lot when the object of our love or perhaps affection is at risk of leaving. Now, this comes from a viewer who has sent in this email and asked that their name is not disclosed. The email says, "Thank you for your genuine and authentic inputs on dating. I'm a big fan of yours and the Dating Guys work, and I feel so grateful and thankful for you humanitarians out there who actually care for people's well-being." That is a very nice thing for you to say. Thank you. I was dating a guy, and not exclusively, for over 4 months, and I had only met him a few times owing to my hectic college schedule. But over time, I realized that he was stringing me along and didn't respect me as a person. He didn't value my time and just treated me like an option and objectified me so that he could use me for validation or just because he liked the attention I was giving him. And especially during the last month, I knew I didn't really do anything in particular to mess things up, yet he seemed distant and quite rude. He would always mock me via text whenever I had great news to share. I also asked him if he had something to tell me or if I upset him in any way. But he would always just lie to me, saying that he was very busy with college and studies. And I hate when people do that. This is just a lack of communication on the part of the ex. What's even worse is that he kept leading me on and giving me false hope that this would work and it will take him time to commit. But in reality, he wasn't really busy. He had already started seeing someone else. Oh, that's terrible. And even after a couple of weeks of seeing someone else, he was still stringing me along. He would say he'd see me again after his exams, and he's caught up with work and things like that. Moreover, he also said that he wanted me to get to know him inside out before committing, and I thought he meant it. I was just too naive and too nice to see things for what they really were. This is such a key point. When we're in a relationship, you know, we tend to look at it with rose-colored glasses, especially when we don't want to lose that relationship. And so we're willing to accept so much bad behavior. Not only that, but this person is in a relationship supposedly and also stringing you along at the same time. This is just somebody with a very low level of integrity, not a good partner. It goes on to say, "One day, when I told him I missed him after he said he'd see me during the holidays, he just said that he doesn't miss me and he's emotionally involved with someone else and that he only talks to one person at a time. Oh, but so he'll see you for the holidays, but he only talks to one person at a time. This is very hot and cold behavior. This is somebody who's showing that he's just interested in you for the attention that you're giving him. Really somebody with really low integrity. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I was really hurt, not because he didn't choose me, and it's not because he didn't commit to me. It's not even because he's seeing someone else. I knew we weren't exclusive. I was upset because of the way he treated me throughout. To mock a woman's vulnerability is such a cowardly thing to do. I mean, to mock anybody's vulnerability is a cowardly thing to do. And there were tons of opportunities for him to just end things with me in a decent manner, to let me go. He could have just told me, hey, I had a good time, but it's not working out. That's simple, and he doesn't owe me a reason to stay, but instead he gave me false hope, and even more so whenever I asked him what's going on, once he just said, I only have one thing. Get in better shape. I'm sorry, let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. Whenever I asked him what was going on once, he just said, I got only one thing, get in better shape. So he's telling you to get in better shape. That's a horrible thing to say to somebody. And I'm already in pretty good shape. I'm a dancer and I practice Taekwondo, but I'm working to create my best self and my best body because it feels great. Good for you. Great. That's exactly what you should be doing. This is not somebody that you want to be dealing with. Seems like a terrible person. But seems like this guy didn't see me for any value I had to offer. Well, he's wrong. You have a lot of value, and good on you for working on yourself. Really impressive. He knew clearly that he didn't want to take things further with me, yet he kept stringing me along. Excuse my language, but that's because he sounds like an asshole. And it's so unfair, because he was the one chasing after me, and the tables turned just to make it ugly for me. I really cared. But I can't seem to get over the horrible treatment I was subjected to, and the fact that I actually put up with it for weeks. I'm angry at myself even for not walking away sooner. Listen, it's understandable, and it can be so hard, because this is somebody that you really want things to work out with. This is somebody who you are having affection for, and somebody who's promising you, milk and honey, and then they're turning out to give you nothing. I'm really sorry that this happened to you, and, to toss a positive spin on it, at least you will have learned self-respect. You've learned that, when it's time to walk away, you walk away and never look back. And that's really why we use this as kind of our baseline advice, is because it's about self-respect, and it's about showing people that here is how I expect to be treated if we are to be in a relationship. She ends with, I do not want this person back. Honestly, I'm disgusted by his behavior and lack of integrity, and it has made me lose all the respect that I had for him. Because he is not a high-value person, he was just pretending, and it's highly unlikely that I'll ever hear from such a person again to even ask how I'm doing. I just want to move on completely and quickly as possible, let go of all the anger that's holding me back, and forgive myself and the other person. Well, good for you. You've really put a positive spin on this, and I applaud you for kind of how you've handled this situation. I think that you, with your mindset, a lesson's been learned here, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through all of this to learn this lesson, but really it's knowing when to walk away, knowing when to hold the cards and say, you know what, I'm not going to be treated like this. This is unacceptable. And so I hope that this has given you some insight on where you can improve yourself, even emotionally and mentally, and say, well, here's my barrier, here's my line, and if somebody crosses this barrier, somebody crosses this line, they're out. And so good for you for turning to a place of improving yourself and forgiveness. Most people would go to, holding on to anger or talking poorly about the other person, when really forgiveness, and this is such a corny line, so trust me guys, I understand how you're going to feel once I say this, but forgiveness is not so much about the other person as much as it is for you. It's about letting go of all that anger, and like I talked about in the previous video, choosing to emotionally move past it. You're no longer allowing it power or access to you. It's not going to affect you or the choices that you make for yourself, because at the end of the day that you are worthy of love, and frankly, you're the most important person in your life. So, you should have a good relationship with yourself. That's all I had for today. If you found my video helpful, I'd be very grateful if you'd subscribe and hit like. Definitely leave a comment below and tell me what topics you'd like covered in the future. Also, if you'd like to do a Skype coaching or an email coaching, definitely be sure to email me at TheLoveChat@gmail.com. Until next time.